All right, you guys, we're going to get started. This is our first edition of going live on YouTube ever.
Sick.
So we wanted to bring Daniel in here, one of our favorite team riders. He's always repping this AZHIAZIAM hard and
years now.
riding tough. So we just wanted to get into it. So how was your day today? What are you up to?
So far, so good. Got up this morning, drank a bunch of eggs, took a shower. Here we are.
Yeah, I've seen that. You've been drinking some like raw eggs and stuff.
Dude, for like the last year and a half or so, you know, like for me, it's hard to eat breakfast in the morning, but I really need that nutrients. I really need to start my day off strong because I'm getting up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I start my, well, now physical therapy, but before it was just my training, and then I'd go skate. And, you know, before I'd know it, if I didn't eat, it'd be noon or 1 o'clock, and I hadn't eaten yet, and I didn't feel well. So I started drinking the eggs, and then a little fruit and those in the morning, man.
Cool.
Sets you up proper.
That sounds good. Yeah, I know the feeling when you get too hungry or, you know, you're like, chew your arm
super
off
angry, man.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah, so all right. So, you know, people out there probably want to know, like, how a guy like you got into doing downhill skateboarding.
Well, I mean, that's a funny story. So my best friend Aaron, he's actually here right now. You can come up and say howdy if you want.
Yeah.
My best friend Aaron, he got me into downhill skateboarding. We met over hockey and rollerblading and roller skating, and then we were always trying to outdo each other for who is going to go the farthest or the fastest. Always super competitive with each other growing up, you know. And so then we'd done the street skating thing, and then I'd kind of gone towards more of the transition, pools and half pipes and things like that. Then he was doing more of the super technical flip tricks. And then I bought this, got more of a cruiser style downhill skateboard. And he was like, hey, you know, you're not using that. Can I mess around on it? And so he did. And he got his own setups. And then before we know it, it's 2 years down the road. He's winning races and free ride slide jam events down in SoCal, San Diego area.
Cool.
And he's winning these things left and right and doing things that guys have never really done on a downhill skateboard before. Then he starts pressuring me. He's like, oh, you got to do it. You got to do this slide this way or do it that way or go harder. And I'm kind of a big baby about all of that.
Yeah.
And so it really took me a long time. A few good crashes, a little bit of fun. And then after a series of events and life-changing things, I decided, you know, instead of destroying my life, just living in odd ways, why not go out and really see if I have what it takes? And so I decided I was going to go skateboard racing. You know, I'd been on a skateboard since I was 9 years old. I got my first board for my 9th birthday. And I'd always built up to it, and I always wanted to be fast and be ahead. Every time we were pushing somewhere, I wanted to be ahead.
Right.
And I started doing all right in the California races, so I figured let's go on the circuit. And that was fall of 2016 is when I quit my job working sheet metal, and I went racing.
So it's been a few years now?
It has been a few years. I've done 2 full seasons on the World Cup circuit, and before that there was another 5 years or so of downhill skateboard racing to varying degrees, not World Cup level for sure though.
Okay, and how old are you now?
I'm 27.
27 years old, still a young pup.
Yeah, exactly.
And like in the sport, like who were your biggest influences like growing up, looking up to guys like?
And that changed as well. There were quite a few. The guy I mentioned before, my best friend. He's always done things I wish I could do. But also, Day One Song, Chris Haslam, Chris Cole, Pedro Barros, and then when it comes to downhill, guys like the Rogers brothers especially, like, I mean, the way they would team up together on the racetrack was beautiful. And they still skate. Those guys were out at Barrett Junction 2 weekends ago ripping it up.
Nice.
Of course, some of my 2 best buds and racers in the scene, Max Caps and Tim Dell. Those are 2 guys that have pushed me farther than at one point I would have even wanted to go.
Right.
And Key Doherty, he rode me into the ground over everything when I was, still learning so much. And Ryan Ricker. Ryan Ricker was the guy who put me on gravity skateboards, gave me a chance, and really helped me along. And he was at the World Cup I won a few months back. He was able to be there in Peru and was able to hoist me up onto the podium. So that was really a cool moment.
That is a cool thing. And so, talking about like pushing your limits and stuff, how fast is about the average speed, and then how fast is the fastest you've probably gone on a skateboard?
I mean, on average, any of the hills I skate, we'll say I'm going to go 45, maybe 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
That's pretty common. You won't catch a World Circuit track under about 55 miles an hour anymore.
Wow.
Then the fastest World Circuit track is around 75 miles an hour, just one person dropping in. If you're in a draft train, meaning several riders together breaking the wind for each other, you might be able to work up into the upper 70s there. At the Top Speed Challenge in Canada, the guys I mentioned earlier, Tim Dell and Max Caps, they went at just a hair over 90 miles an hour. And Timmy's the second fastest guy in the world and arguably the fastest.
It's crazy. Yeah, 90 miles an hour on
Dude,
a skateboard.
I couldn't imagine it. I'd love to feel it, and they will be doing, I think 2020 will have the next Top Speed event up in Canada.
Okay.
But Tim and Max were telling me how, like, man, you just got to hunker down and get low, and you don't lift up too quick because it'll suck you right off the board. And there's a man in the UK named Pete Connolly who did some wind tests, and right about at 130 or so mile per hour winds, it actually pitched him forward from a tucking position, got under his shoulders, pulled him up like that and down onto his face.
Wow.
It's crazy. So there's a cap.
Okay.
But we haven't reached it yet, gravity fed. So interested to do that.
Jeez, that was crazy. Yeah. All right. And so what is your favorite thing about the downhill skating scene?
I mean, I'm rather a Class A type of person. My mind's always moving. And so for me, when I get into those real tight situations, going fast, maybe there's cars involved, there's something going on the road, that's when my mind kind of just turns off and everything goes quiet. Then I can just flow with my surroundings and do what I'm doing. And that, to me, feels really good. It's almost a sense of relief.
Like a zen state.
It is.
Yeah.
It's. I just love being able, like, it's springtime. I'm looking forward to raging down a couple of my hills at 50, 60 miles an hour, watching the wildflowers go by, and I'll kind of be off in my own little world. I won't really be thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just taking it in as it goes.
That's crazy. Yeah, going that fast.
I mean, it's kind of like flying.
Yeah.
It's what I imagine, the birds must feel.
Right, I can imagine that. And so what is your current rank on the international downhill tour?
Well, we just finished up the circuit. We had the last World Cup in Rio. That race day was 11-11-18. On that day, I ended up fourth overall after the race ended early due to an accident, and it was decided later that since I made it to the finals, everyone who made it to finals, we'd just go off the qualifying time. So I made fourth there, which made it possible. I got the points, worked hard through South America, won a cup, won a qualifier there, qualified first for my first time in a race to qualify format, and ended up third in the world. For world rankings for North America, I'm first, and for South America, I would technically be first as well. I mean, if I had citizenship there.
Wow, cool.
So
you're third in the world rankings and first in North America?
First in North America for the world rankings, not for our national rankings. I wasn't able to make one of 3 races, and so I think I'm 8th in our national rankings.
Okay. Now. All right, so what's the goal going into 2019 for the downhill season?
Well, as I mentioned before, there was an accident in Rio, and I was kind of a part of that. And so lots of physical therapy. I'm going to be looking at surgery on my left knee here. In the near future, I'm kind of trying to push that off and see if I can squeeze a couple races out because, I was at the end of 2017, I was 5th in the world. At the end of this last season, 2018, I was 3rd in the world. I really want to be first. And not only do I want to be first, but I'd like to take this to the Olympic level. And if I could get a gold medal at the Olympic level, I mean, you'll just find me skating my roads after that.
Right.
At that point, I will have done what I needed to do here with racing. So for me, we're going to go into 2019, just keep it chill, do the physical therapy,
Cool.
Relax about it, and I plan on going to the first race in Australia. That's I believe the 5th through the 7th of April. I do not plan on racing it as of yet, but we'll see how the knees feel then.
Okay.
But as it is, I plan on doing a full circuit if my body will allow. The big thing for me this season would be the World Roller Games in Barcelona. That's what I'm working towards. That's kind of a side championship to the International Downhill Federation World Circuit.
Nice. And speaking of like your injuries, like what exactly did happen with your injuries? Like what kind of trauma did you suffer?
Well, so I can't say too much because there's a lot of ongoing stuff in
Right.
Rio de Janeiro because we did lose a racer and a dear friend,
Yes.
Estrada. This guy here. He, a guy that makes trucks in the industry.
Oh, he does?
He also made these stickers that he sponsored Pastrana. But there was a motorcycle that came up through the final curve during semifinal B, which I was a part of, and the young man who passed away, he was in first and I was in second. We're going through the left curve like this. He went into the motorcycle and I kind of hit at an angle into it, or so I'm told. I never saw the motorcycle. It went from, yes, we made top 4 finals here in Rio, to just darkness. And I woke up. We went to the hospital. I ended up being there for a few more days. It just took me a little time to get out of Rio. And then I was able to get home and get an MRI where even after the x-rays it said I didn't have any broken bones in my legs. I got back here and found out that my right knee was broken here and here, and then my left PCL is in half, as well as my broken jaw. I shattered 7 or 8 teeth. I had a sprain in my wrist. I had a bone relocated in my wrist, a bone relocated in my leg, some internal organ issues that had to be worked out via supplements. It took a lot, especially like having those painkillers for the first 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I really needed them, but it got to the point where I could kind of sleep through the night with the pain, and I just had to get off them because all the body issues as well as the mind issues
Side
that go
effects.
along with those things, you know. And so I got pretty beat up, but I feel good. I didn't suffer any major head injuries besides my mouth. No brain injuries or anything like that, which thank God.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. Right now, the big thing is the PCL, and everything else is healing up pretty well.
So you are riding again already, or a little bit?
The first time I rode after the incident was 6 days after, and that hurt.
Wow.
But it was kind of a local gathering, and I really wanted to be a part of that with all my friends.
Yeah.
Finally got home. I've been in South America for 5-6 weeks. Then that incident, and it was bittersweet because I got to come home. 3rd in the world, won all these things, but then there was this
Dark cloud.
this dark cloud where we didn't get to finish the race and we lost someone. And so much that goes along with that. It's kind of a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, stoked to be alive.
Yeah. It's smart. Life's short.
It really
it's
is.
fragile. So
Really is.
I'm always thinking of you, like worried about you and stuff. I'm like, be careful, Daniel. Like
It's a rip, man. Just
that one hit home really close. Where even for me, I was just like,
I mean, at that point, it could have been anyone.
yeah.
I even I'd been saving this move for the finals, and because I didn't want Pastrana to know I had the move, but I could have passed into that corner and technically been in front, leading to win that heat. But I didn't. I was playing a different strategy at that point,
Right.
and man, it
Could have been in a different place.
yeah.
Well, on a brighter side, bring up maybe your favorite place, or favorite places that you've traveled, and what you liked about it, and if you're a skater,
So many.
any skaters out there watching that might want to be like you have to go to this place, or are they all about the same, or is...
Oh man, it's all different everywhere you go in the world. Since we're doing this on more of a grassroots level still, there's not a ton of big paying sponsorships or anything like that. We're living with the locals. We get picked up by them. Most of the time I just buy a plane ticket to Ecuador. And then someone comes and picks me up, and then we go to an event, and I don't know where I'm sleeping or where I'm eating or what I'm doing. And it's really fun to do it that way. I kind of know when I need to be there, and that's about it.
Right.
And you definitely learn a lot about people and a lot about cultures rather than taking the more hotel or destination spot route about things.
Yeah, so you're living with them, you're
exactly
eating their food, doing their thing. Not like
you're on their daily routine. You've totally switched it up. So for me, South Korea comes to mind. The roads are exquisite. The people are friendly. Food's amazing. And then when you get out in the countryside, it's absolutely beautiful.
Now is that herring ring? Or?
Yeah, our herring hills out there in the Gyeongsang-gun region, if you will.
Yeah, cool.
But then there, I love Australia. A lot of friends, lots of fun critters to play with.
Yeah.
You get kangaroos coming across the track. We race on a track there. It's the Mount Panorama racetrack in Bathurst, where I believe they're starting, or we're a day out from starting the 12-hour challenge out there with the supercars. Australia is definitely a top one, but I think overall, Peru.
Really?
Peru's wonderful. You fly into Lima. You might get hassled for your wheels, but that's pretty common. You show up and you got all these packages of wheels, and they think you're going to sell them or something. And so Customs steps in, you got to talk to them for a little bit. But then you go out. My buddy has a place in Miraflores, and he's also a renowned chef. If you're ever in Miraflores, look up a man named Jonathan Gardea in his restaurant. It's the best ceviche I've ever had.
I'm going.
But yeah, you go to Miraflores, hang out for a couple days, and then start. It takes anywhere from 7.5 hours if you go early in the morning to 11, 12, 13, who knows with traffic. The highways near Lima are pretty congested, but once you start climbing up into the mountains, you can get to a little town called Chacas, which is up in this little notch of Punta Olímpica up in the Peruvian Andes. And the roads, the people, the food, just everything around you is amazing. The pass is at like 15,500 feet. And
it's pretty cold in Peru in general. Is it pretty chilly up there?
It definitely can be. I mean, I think we got down into the low 30s, maybe even into the high 20s at night for a couple of those Fahrenheit. And then up at the top of the pass, a lot of times when we were dropping in, because we'll skate rain, snow, sunshine, whatever. We run the race no matter what. So we'd be dropping in, and there'd be snow falling at the top. It was pretty sick. Yeah. It's one of my favorite places. I think is Peru.
Cool. That's good to know. I've never been there.
Dude, gotta go.
I want to go. It's good waves.
Dude, the surf in Miraflores. I was watching the guys out there last time. We threw a little impromptu race and slide jam for the locals, gave away some gear, and had some fun.
Yeah.
Man, the waves are just pumping off this little point right there. Man.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
All right, so moving on here, I was just going to say, if there's anything you'd like to say to, maybe a kid that's watching that wants to be like Daniel Engel, what would you say to him, or her,
Man, that's hard, because there's parts of my path that I am a huge fan of and thoroughly enjoyed, and there's other parts that were really difficult, but everyone kind of has their own way to go about it. Don't try to grow up too fast, I think would be the first one. That's what I really tried to do when I was younger. And I think if I would have just kind of let myself be a kid, I'd probably be even skating even better now. I really could have done things differently there. Things to do. If you want to go fast on a skateboard, put all your weight on your front foot, and if you start getting the wobbles, get lower, and you won't wobble. You're welcome.
Pretty good advice from Daniel. And then only one of the last things I was going to say, if you want to give a shout out to all your sponsors and try to show your board again or something.
Heck yeah.
Explain them a little bit.
Well, yeah, man. First, mom and dad, family. They without my family, I would definitely not be where I'm at. They've been kinder to me than I could have ever deserved. But besides that, the man Fred Bauman, he makes this board, these trucks, GMR skateboards, running trucks, as well as the bushings we ride in the trucks, factory bushings. A lot of love for him. He's been supporting me, helping me, yelling at me, everything for years, man. He's really kind of another dad to me. Venom wheels, big old magnums. If you want to go fast and have a smooth ride and way too much grip, that's the wheel. Honda bearings, Honda grip. Got Rogers Brothers hardware. Max Caps Pro Model foot stop. That's also Rogers Brothers. Bam Bam pucks. New Olders helmets. Who else? Homegrown Initiative. The guys in Bakersfield. NJK leathers. Man. Harfing. Canada. They just picked them up. They do. If you go to harfingwheels.com and just check out what they have going there. Harfing is spelled Harfang.
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 Okay.
And this guy makes wheels specifically for the rain. And it's not just the standard single groove pattern or multiple groove pattern. There's all kinds of angles and different cuts in it. He has several different patterns that he works with. It's pretty sick.
Cool.
And then, of course, that's AZHIAZIAM, man.
Right.
I was thinking about it. I first bought the shirts from you when you were down here at this little warehouse over here.
Right.
And then, and I was young, man. I was, a mid-teenager probably. And then when I was about 19, 20, something like that is when you're,
into the
that's when you're like, that's when you started helping me out a little bit here and there.
I was like, this kid's serious. Like,
it was either $20 or $40. That's what you'd tell me.
Yeah.
I'd put up some gear on the counter. You'd go, oh, that's $20. So the next time, that's $40.
Yeah.
And then like one day you're like, dude, like don't even worry about it. You're part of this.
Yeah, you were doing I didn't realize, I saw your passion kind of earlier on, and I was like, this kid is like more than just trying to do something, and then to see you like actually pull all this stuff off has been crazy. So
Dude.
For me, I'm real proud of you. Just seeing all the work you put in, and following you on. Daniel's got a really good Instagram. Engel Skates.
Yeah, at Engle Skates. ENGELSKATES.
Engel Skates. It's always fun to watch him. He does a lot of good stories and stuff. So I think that's about it for us, you guys. I hope that turned out on that end. This is our first time doing live YouTube, so we'll see how it goes, and I'm sure there's probably a bunch of comments and stuff racking up already. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Daniel, for coming out. Yeah, stoked for you. Yeah, thanks, guys. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Woo.